Good afternoon, everybody. This is Mark, and we're back here for the afternoon call. I have not done it in a long time, but I'm filling in for Scott for at least a day. So this market, a little bit of Jekyll and Hyde. You're trying to figure out which direction this market is going in. It seems like the indices continue to just recover. There's a continuous bid. Maybe for a day it removes itself, i.e. yesterday. But then today we come back and you can just see the spiders recovered very nicely, basically filled that gap and close to highs. IWM is very similar. You know, it basically almost did an inside day, but it really closed a little higher than the previous day, or went a little higher than the previous day. And Qs look very much intact. No real selling in place. Stocks, on the other hand, obviously, depending on the sector you're looking at, has taken a huge discount, namely oil. And obviously that was with OPEC cutting and various other factors. It recovered a little bit today. I'm personally not really looking at it that much. I know there was a nice recovery in some of the oil stocks. You could name Exxon. I saw EOG, PXD had some nice recoveries. But then there's Schlumberger, which didn't really do much. Chevron also had a nice recovery. APC hasn't done much. So it just depends on which stocks you're looking at, onto where the recovery is. I just think they're hard stocks to trade. I think most of them are the discounts. Any severe rally is probably going to be shorted regardless. But if you're going to be looking to take a shot, I'm doing it more with options than necessarily in the stocks overall. Market set strong. Biotech's had a decent day today. Biogen had a good report, good data, I guess, on Alzheimer's, which is obviously very positive. Opened up probably 11%, came in a little bit, held the 325 level, which again is key. Looks like it's probably going to work itself, digest for a few days, but work itself higher across the board. Other biotechs, I didn't really see a whole lot else that was on my radar, but I know Celgene is still, at highs across the board. ILNM looks pretty good. So the biotech index overall looks decent. You got to really pick which one's going to be in play for the day. High beta, which really yesterday was probably the one that got beaten the most, had some decent recoveries today, namely BABA, which really was down a few percent yesterday, recovered pretty nicely to basically that gap down yesterday morning. A little bit of an inside day, but in my opinion, it'll probably just digest for the next few days in order to determine if it's going to go higher to try to fill that gap, or lower, to really test that 100 level, which again I think seems a little more remote, but we'll have to wait and see. It's very hard to determine, buy on pullbacks when these things are falling down and it's catching a falling knife. But understanding, if you have an idea, if you have some conviction, you got to take advantage of it when it's there. Two ideas we had this morning pre-market: Taser and DJIY. Namely, the news was out actually yesterday with the body armor, body cameras for cops. The government's going to be spending $75 million. Had an uptick this morning, and obviously DJIY really woke up today. And that is a stock, I believe it's still heavily shorted, so it's something that obviously should be on the radar. It might have, ran a little bit too much today. A little digestion would be healthy, but every time it gets to $16, $15 or forms a nice little base, I'll be looking to get long accordingly. Facebook wasn't in play today, but I like that it held the 75. I am long that stock, so it's something to look at. What else do we have that was, in particular on my radar? The Chinese guys, not really anything to write home about. 2-3 days down. Normally that's been the trend to, you have some reversal. We'll see if that happens with Baidu, which in my opinion is still best in breed. GoPro, 2 days down. No real sexy looking chart there, but at the same time it's holding that 72 level decent. I still think it's one of those things that's probably going to wedge over the next few days, that eventually work itself higher as the Christmas season starts to go, and obviously as it becomes probably the it gift next to Apple's iPhone, I'm sorry, the gift to be had. Apple, which you can't, I guess, go with a program without mentioning Apple. A little bit weak, but it did hold its 20-day, 21-day. Digestion is needed. Obviously a buyer stepped in today. Not so convincingly. I think you need some work on that stock. It hit, it basically doubled over the last year, year and a half, and you know, you have market caps that it might need a break somewhere in there for us to take advantage of. I'd love to see digestion or a pullback, because then it will become a little bit easier to trade in this range. I don't know if there's necessarily a trade. See if it can hold the 21-day. And finally, the banks. The banks actually had a decent move today. Goldman Sachs, decent standout, probably a best in breed, looks good. Citi probably looks one of the best, and you're looking at it could go to new highs very shortly. And you're talking, you know, roughly around 54.50, 54.60. Will trigger for some new buys. Go down the list. BAC had a nice day today. Morgan Stanley had a nice day today. They all look good, and they all look like they're ready to head a little higher. So it's just a matter of how this market, you know, works itself out. We keep saying, you know, you get a downtick, everybody gets so nervous, but the reality is we come back so quickly that, you know, I don't know if the forced selling is going to happen towards the end of the year. Obviously, we're getting into certain individual issues, but across the board, the indices are telling us there's still buyers across the board, still buyers in this market. It's just a matter of, from a day-to-day point of view, you're definitely getting gyrations, which I think is healthier, because ideally you'll like to see some digestion. Some other biotech, some other ideas that people are watching, I think that were on the radar. Not necessarily biotech, CME. Yeah, it seems like as volatility should increase, CME and ICE should be able to take advantage of that with more options contracts, more volume, and both look pretty good. You know, CME I mentioned this morning had a decent day. I don't know if it's necessarily, you know, something that's going to go 3 days in a row up, but again, something to watch. And even the big boys, you know, they're boring, they're slow, but you look at Intel, you look at Microsoft, recovered nicely. You look at Oracle, you look at Cisco. Every chart I just mentioned is basically just about at highs or a % off highs. They're big boy tech that really had a great year, and it seems like they're just going to be, you know, have that continuation at least into, you know, late December. So that's where we're at. I don't think you got to be so, you know, excited, rah-rah about this tape. It obviously slows down very quickly. By 11:30, 12 o'clock, you really just flatline at least until 3:15, 3:30, which makes for a little bit of a boring day, but you got to be strategic. You got to look for your prices. It's not necessarily the technicals. Intraday aren't necessarily, you know, giving you the playbook they always want to do, I think, but the prices are really telling you what you need to know. Midday, we are very, very slow. I can't say it enough. It's been like that, but I think that's going to be the case, obviously, as the new year, as we end 2014. We'll have to see if that's the case. But that's where I'm at. I'm not that excited about oil. You know, retailers, it's hit or miss. My still best in breed, I would say, are UA and Nike. But other ones that look notable, that look decent to me, I was Ralph Lauren. Looks okay to me. I know somebody mentioned Coors the other day. That's not a great one in my opinion. Lulu, again, not a leader at this point. But then you have, you know, Macy's that looks good to me. I know Kate Spade, I think, had that's nothing great either. Retail is a little bit of a hit or miss. You got to go through your charts. You got to do your work, and you got to really find what the sweet spots for some of these stocks. I didn't take home a lot tonight. I didn't see a lot that I had a lot of conviction on. Not excited about tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see. But again, the market's going to give you a day trade or a nice little day and a half trade. Every single day you're going to find 1 or 2 opportunities. It's our job and your job to be a lot more patient and waiting for that price that you're looking for, and sitting on your hand a little bit more. Trying to gyrate back and forth and, you know, in and out, not necessarily in this type of tape, going to be the most prosperous way to take advantage of it. Hopefully you were able to take advantage of some of the calls today, which we definitely had a few that were, you know, really right off the open, the Taser and DGLI namely. But overall, you know, it's been a decent tape, and we just have to continue to really rotate from stock to stock. And also, something to look at, wasn't in play today, but it's something that I had as a stock of the week, BZH. I would still look at these home builders. I do like them. That's Toll, Ryland, and I think it's one of those industries that is going to wake up at some point in time. Hope you had a good day. I will see you all back tomorrow.